Well, I think it's about time I finally watched Black Christmas, and yes, I mean the 1974 Black Christmas directed by Clive Barker. Watched it for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely amazing. Um, wow. Everything that I could possibly imagine that this film would be, it is. It's a perfect slasher, certainly one of the best slashers, one of the OG slashers, and just does slashers so well. I mean, it's such an homage to the holidays. Like, you want Christmas horror? This is titled perfectly Black Christmas. It is what you're gonna get. I know the horror stories, not, no pun intended, but like the negative horror stories that the 2018 remake received, and I also know the really like the big negative backlash that the 2006 Xmas based off this one received as well, which I have not watched neither. Have no interest in the latest one. I mean, I might get to it. I might throw it on at some point just to see actually how bad it is, or who knows, maybe it's even better than people are saying it is. Maybe I'll actually kind of think it's alright. I don't think so, though, from what I hear. And the 2006 one I am very curious and interested to check out because I've heard some things and it sounds pretty cool, but I had to check this one out, and I'm here to talk about it because it's absolutely amazing. So to start right off, man, does this feel like Christmas 1974. My good God. The costume designs and everybody in this. I like that this is a Canadian film, actually. It's right in Toronto, which is like an hour and a half away from me. But this feels like 1974. Like, some of the people's hairstyles are so permed and so wig looking. Like, I don't even know if it's their real hair. Like, it's got to be their real hair, but like, it's a product of its time. It's absolutely unbelievable, and it's absolutely nostalgic. Well, nostalgic, I don't know if that's the right word, but it really feels like it's a period piece. Like, you can tell it's straight out of there. I mean, especially with the hairstyles, that's what I laughed at the most. But you get your frat house. You get this lady named Miss Mac, who she's a really fun character to watch. She's very interesting. Um, she has this sorority house full of university girls, and she has booze hidden in the most random places. I mean, she hides booze all over this frat house for herself, obviously, and she's always drinking. But she's like, she'll pull out a Mickey of whiskey or scotch or something from like a book from a bookshelf that she'll open up, and it's got this whiskey bottle in the shape of a whiskey bottle in the book so it can fit on the shelf. And just everywhere she goes, she's always pulling up booze. It's hilarious. Made me laugh. Basically, these frat girls are living in this frat house, and then they start to receive phone calls. It's very much in the kind of style and reminiscence of When a Stranger Calls kind of thing. And there's actually a lot of similarities to the film plot-wise. So if you know what When a Stranger Calls is like and what it's about and what its style is, then you're pretty much like, this is kind of, this is kind of the same deal. And these girls get strange phone calls, like really obscene phone calls. There's actually, it's funny, because the UK version, the phone calls were so obscene apparently that they cut the language out, but in the American version they let it go. Usually it's the opposite of how that happens. Usually it's the American cut that tames everything down, and the UK cuts or the European cuts or whatever that leaves the language in. So this one kind of did it completely backwards. But yeah, they use the C word a lot, like C-U-N, the other letter, and constantly in these phone calls. And in the UK cut, they cut all that out, which is funny because British people, use that word a lot, but hey, who knows? Uh, Regardless, these girls get obscene phone calls. This girl named Claire is the first one to go. She's killed off, and this killer is just. It starts off with her, and then there's an investigation. Her father is supposed to pick her up, and she never shows up. And her body is hidden somewhere, like in the house, and everybody's investigating and trying to look for her. Kind of weird that they wouldn't search the house or find her really quickly, because this investigation starts to go for days, and the cops just are doing slasher movie tropes and investigating something that they could probably solve in like 10 hours, but it's a movie, so you can't really think about it too hard. Kills in this are great. The killer's so creepy, Billy. The things that he says, both on the phone and both when he's about to kill his victims, he has this obsession with Agnes, and he's always playing this story in his head before he kills somebody, like, I didn't mean to do it, Agnes, or I forget exactly where he goes, but like, it's not my fault, Agnes, oh, I'm sorry, Agnes, or something along the lines of that. But really, really creepy. And things get much more complicated because it's it throws in like a murder of a little girl, and then that starts to make the investigation go further without getting too spoiler-ish, but it kind of, that plays into the plot a lot, basically. I'll just leave it at that, because I don't know how many people have watched this film, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't, because this is a classic, and I want to keep this review spoiler-free. But, of course the basics, because it is, it's a simple plot, but I don't want to get too much into detail with things. There's a character, there's two characters actually. The main character, outside of Claire, because she's like the first victim, but there's two characters. Jess, who's the main character pretty much. She's kind of, I wouldn't call her the final girl, but she's the main character that you follow throughout most of the film. And her boyfriend is Peter, and Peter is quite, he's very possessive kind of thing, and there's a lot of things between that relationship and what goes on with it that's today not very PC at all. I mean, they even bring things like abortion into the subject, and things that are, you can totally tell that clearly they remade this film with a completely different agenda than the agenda that they made in 1974. It's so different than what would be made today. I don't mind it. It's just interesting to see, and kind of shocking to see a little bit, because of how ballsy it is, and how ballsy this film goes with so many topics and so many character decisions and so many plot points and so many things that happen in it that you really wouldn't be able to get away with today. And it's kind of cool to see that, because you sort of, it's a different perspective. It's just a different way to view cinema, basically, and for the good and the bad, because everything has its pros and cons. I mean, everything is way too PC today, but I don't know, it's two different eras, basically. I don't know any other way to put it. And then you have your big reveal at the end, and the ending is kind of something, like the whole third act is kind of something that is pretty twisty, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but you think you know who the killer is, or you start to take your guesses, but things change, and other conclusions come up, and other reveals are made, and then things start to escalate to a point where you actually almost don't expect where the ending is going to go. You think you do, but things kind of take you by surprise, especially since I was never spoiled about anything in this film. Um, and I like to keep it that way because, see, one classic film that I don't even know if I really want to watch anymore because I was so excited to watch it and I wanted to not know anything about it. But because of the internet, basically the whole ending was spoiled for me, and that film is Sleepaway Camp. I've never seen Sleepaway Camp, and I was trying so hard to stay away from spoilers about Sleepaway Camp, but lo and behold, Sleepaway Camp is officially spoiled for me, and I am pretty PO'd about that. But what can you do? It's life on the internet. It's gonna happen sometimes. I'll still watch Sleepaway Camp, but unfortunately, the whole huge twist ending is spoiled for me. Anyway, and then you have the ending where it's so crazy because, again, spoiler free, but I'm gonna mention that there's something that happens in the end that is so silly, where they leave a victim who's traumatized, let's just say, in the house where all these killings happened once they find everything. And they leave this person in the house, not take them to the hospital, just leave them in the house, and alone, just with a police officer standing outside guarding everything. One cop. With a girl alone who just suffered a traumatic few nights, by herself in her bed, with one cop guarding. Why would you do that? Oh my goodness. But overall, Black Christmas is such a classic and so much fun. And man, this feels like the holidays. Like this is one of those cold winter night movies. Not even necessarily that just fits December, but you can literally watch this on a cold winter early March night if you want. Like any snowy ass night that feels like chilly and creepy by the fire, like this film fits. And it's a staple. Like it holds up to a T. So who is it? Bob Clark. Clive Barker popped into my head for some reason, but I knew it wasn't Clive Barker. Bob Clark, classic film by him right here. I loved it. I loved it completely. This is a slasher staple, and this is one that I'm so glad I checked out finally after a long while. But as you can see in the background, man, this is a slasher and a half, so that's what I have on it. So many classic moments, sorry, and great stuff. Great stuff. I love having it in my collection, and the filming location, I'll have to look into it, but it's in Toronto. It's one specific location on one specific street. I wonder if they, made it kind of like an attraction or a museum or something like that, or if they just tore the whole thing down. Who knows? But Black Christmas, 1974. Check it out if you're a horror fan. Like it's a must check out. Pure 1970s, good horror and good slasher fun with lots of good kills and paced really well. There's also, before I forget, John Saxon is in here. Classic John Saxon. I mean, what a great actor he was and is. So that's all I got. Cellar reviews. Follow Morgan Film Fan if you like my reviews, if you like listening to my voice, and I will be back with some more. I'm going to be popping out the Christmas reviews like crazy, so I will be back. Cheers, until next time, have a good one.